Hey guys, today's review will be the 2023 HBO Max series, and this one is Velma. Oh my god, there's no words to describe this shit. Why does this show still exist since last year, ever since first streamed on HBO Max? The day when I watched some clips from episodes on YouTube, I just realized that Return to Zombie Island is no more. The show is like a wannabe cash cow for Warner Brothers Discovery. The show would be similar to Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, but it failed. It became the darkest version of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. The studios have decided to make the black characters, Asian, and even Indian actors. They don't give a shit about it, it's just a grab money. Once again a wannabe cash cow for Warner Brothers Discovery. The show was currently streaming on Max, formerly known as HBO Max. So what is the plot of this? Is basically, the series serves as an alternate universe origin story for Mystery Incorporated, pitched as a love quadrangle between them. It primarily focuses on Velma Dinkley as she tries to solve a mystery regarding the disappearance of her mother, as well as the murders of local teenage girls. So, what are my thoughts about this HBO Max original series? Holy shit, this show is one of the worst HBO Max shows ever existed. It's also the worst abomination to the Scooby-Doo franchise, and it's one of the worst Scooby-Doo shows ever existed in the Scooby-Doo franchise, next to Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, and Be Cool Scooby-Doo. Like what the fuck? What Warner Brothers Animation and 3 Arts Entertainment were thinking when? It's easily hands down and disliked by a lot of Scooby-Doo fans, and even viewers and critics. They fucked everything up that made Scooby-Doo a legendary masterpiece of Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers Animation. I have no fucking idea either, but what the fuck they've done to it is completely unacceptable. It's a total and absolutely disgrace to Scooby-Doo franchise, and real shit stained diaper to Scooby-Doo franchise as well. The original Joe Ruby and Ken Spears' Scooby-Doo franchise was a lot better than this pile of random who in the walk took a shit. And of course, part of our childhoods, the animation of this show is just nothing but trash. I mean, look at this shit. Holy motherfucking shit. Why the fuck they've done ever this shit to a Scooby-Doo franchise? Whoever has done this shit has no clue, and knowing what the fuck are they doing to it. I believe they want to make something that it's a big pile of shit. By using this shit-stained diaper of an animation. And it looks like makes me want to go to the bathroom and vomit in the toilet. Disgusting and despicable. The jokes in the Velma show are completely despicable. There are many disgusting and despicable jokes in this shit. Like a lot of toilet humor. What in the actual fuck? How the fuck could they add despicable jokes in a Scooby-Doo franchise? This is like making the same as Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Whenever get angry, they become violent. Does this sounds good? Fuck no, absolutely fucking not. I don't fucking think so. And also, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs were not supposed to be violent. It's a lovely movie from Disney, and Scooby-Doo does not supposed to have jokes like toilet humor. Isn't supposed to be a cool show that I didn't aired on Cartoon Network, or Boomerang. Like what the fuck? Despicable jokes are no laughing matter at this goddamn awful and a stupid piece of shit stained diaper. Like I said, this show only exists for grab money for HBO Max. And this shit turned out to be garbage that belongs in a trash can. It's a big disaster to the Scooby-Doo franchise. I find this show, along with Teen Titans Go, to be cash grab for HBO Max itself. Speaking about the characters, they're completely mean-spirited, disgusting, despicable, dirty-minded, not friendly, ill-mannered, heartless, egotistic, narcissistic, spoiled, dumb, who can't take criticism, twerkers, creepy, and Karma Houdini. First thing, we have Velma herself. First and foremost, this iteration of Velma is barely anything like her actual Scooby-Doo counterpart, since this 2023 show of her first name was supposed to be the prequel of the entire Scooby-Doo franchise, as she has more bad traits than the actual Velma, resulting in her being flanderized beyond recognition. Sound familiar? She shockingly makes her Be Cool Scooby-Doo. incarnation more likable in comparison. She is unnecessarily race-swapped into being South Asian and serves as an example of her voice actress and producer Mindy Kaling portraying Indian girls as self-loathing, something that she is known for in her style of writing. If anything, she feels more like a self-insert caricature of Mindy cosplaying as the character rather than the actual Velma. More insultingly, all of her bad traits as described below are hardly even displayed in the actual Velma in the slightest, which just shows how Mindy Kaling knew nothing about Scooby-Doo and the Velma Dinkley character in general, despite Mindy Kaling herself claiming that she identifies with the Velma character, hypocritically. Not to mention she has become a criminal mastermind in the style of a drug dealer, making her very aggressive, as being a drug dealer in reality solves nothing and creates conflict. Her character design, while somewhat faithful, renders her to be near unrecognizable, as she looks too much like Quinn Ergon from Final Space in terms of how her eyes and lips are drawn. As she lacks the traits of her original self, she is super rude and mean-spirited to everyone, mostly insulting them for the smallest things. And worse, she hardly even shuts up about it every minute she's on screen. She also lacks her original counterpart's intelligence, and instead, she stubbornly refuses to ever admit she is wrong about anything. There also evidence where she nowhere smart, such as Norville does work her math homework and believe flat earth theory. The cruel scene in episode 3 in which she reads from Daphne's journal in front of the audience, expecting them to cheer for her because she made Daphne vulnerable. She is a pretty bad friend to Norville, who is the real name of his nickname, Shaggy, Scooby-Doo's pet owner, as she laughs when he tries to talk to her and tries to get him to get her stuff. Additionally, she is shown to be a hypocrite as she critiques sexism and fat-shaming but is herself a slut-shamer who assumes all popular kids are dumb and shallow. She is extremely ungrateful, as she is pleased with the thought of her pregnant stepmom being arrested and is glad Fred was arrested, even though he previously saved her from a school riot, albeit getting her gender wrong. Her backstory is not sympathetic as she was abusive to her mother until she lost her eye. She even acts way too short-tempered, to the point that it becomes exaggerated and unfunny. Awful first impressions. In the first reveal trailer, she is seen sending a death threat to the employees of HBO Max because of how they butchered Judy Jetson's character, which was a bad start to introduce her character. The writers probably wanted her to be self-aware, but it failed horribly as discussed below. Additionally, she was just made to insult viewers who don't like the show, as in the second trailer and episode 2 she is seen saying adults who still watch cartoons as an insult, which screams to the world that animation is only for kids and that if adults and teenagers watch it, then they're immature. Yes, cartoons have a level of complexity that is toned down for younger audiences to understand, but adults can enjoy a level of charm to it. We're at an age where many children's cartoons, including the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, can be enjoyed by kids and adults alike. Likewise, many adult cartoons, both good and bad, have an unbearably large amount of violence, toilet humor, swearing, and jokes that are plain offensive to brag about how their shows aren't meant for children. This also comes off as very hypocritical of her, and she is saying this in an adult cartoon from an IP that was originally meant for kids. In a way, this is a double standard and doesn't work as a joke. She also has poor detective skills, which results in her failing to find the murderer at the high school. Additionally, most of the time she is making more jokes rather than investigating to find the murderer. She is also occasionally very gross, as in the ending to Marching Band Sleepover. She dared to smile after losing one of her teeth with blood leaking out from her mouth. That is an eyesore to look at, although this was the fault of a police officer because he knocked out Velma's tooth with his car. In the season 1 finale, the brains of the operation, she's happy that Fred's mom got impaled by stalactite and starts twerking over her corpse. Even if Fred's mom was a villain who turned out to be the killer, this moment is unnecessarily tasteless and mean-spirited, especially considering Fred was with her when it happened, very distressed about it, showing her unsympathetic hypocrisy by leaving an evil smirk on her face celebrating her victory. Since she's the main character, she appears in every episode, meaning we have to put up with this nuisance to no end. Speaking of which, her actions make her come off more as the main villain of the show than the main hero. as shown by her getting away with these villainous crimes she commits in public, making her a karma Houdini. What makes it even worse is that this version of Velma is an HBO Max ripoff of Jake Spider-Monkey from My Gym Partner's a Monkey, and also a female version of Cleveland Brown from the first season of The Cleveland Show. But unlike Cleveland Brown and like Jake Spider-Monkey, this version of Velma is no better and at the same is very ill-mannered, making her a human version of Duncan the stubborn/musical/narrow-gauge engine from Thomas Friends. To make matters worse, this version of Velma makes the original to modern versions of Velma look bad in comparison. Because of all these reasons and overall, this incarnation of Velma has become the most hated character of not only the entire show, despite being the main protagonist, ironically, but the entire Scooby-Doo franchise, even surpassing both Scrappy-Doo, including his villainous 2002 live-action incarnation, and the original version of Flim Flam Scum combined, and that makes her not only a Scrappy, but also the worst character in the entire Scooby-Doo franchise, and also one of the worst characters in adult animation history. Number 2, Daphne Blank. Firstly, this incarnation of Daphne is nothing like how she was in the original Scooby-Doo franchise. She went from a vain fashion lover and a quick thinker who cares about her friends to a spoiled jerk and a Mary Sue who sells illegal items and steals things, something that the original counterpart of her would never do. Although it is understandable that she wants to learn more about her parents, she goes to incredibly crazy lengths to no extent at all when one of those illegal things she sells drugs and steals a man's wallet. Because she was raised to avoid danger by her police officer parents, she purposely puts herself into harm's way and dangerous situations just for the thrill of it. She approaches danger with no caution and is overconfident in dire situations. Although Velma is also unlikable in this series, she rightfully calls out Daphne on selling drugs and scamming people. But when Velma calls her out, Daphne completely insults her by saying this infamous quote, "According to TV, it's morally okay to deal drugs if your life is just kinda crappy. Like your kid's sick, you're a widow with a mortgage, you have to live on a lake in Missouri." As a follow-up to her parents being police officers, she abused her parents' power as cops and is above the law, just because her parents are a part of the law, such as revealing confidential information like Velma being the prime suspect in Brenda's murder to the public during Brenda's funeral. When she is first seen in the locker room, she is fighting with Krista over sex and nudity in television shows, which is something she would never start on nor get involved within. After that, she ends up physically assaulting and choking Krista, although she deserves it for sure. Although Constance Wu does a pretty good job voicing her, Daphne's character was never Asian, and was completely race-swapped. During Velma's questioning, Velma reveals that as children, the two were friends until Daphne abandoned Velma to be with the popular kids, which shows that she only cares about being popular, which is yet another thing that shows that Daphne is nothing like her original counterpart. As she is leaving the room, she bumps into Fred. When Fred asks who she is, Velma replies that Fred cheats off her in Spanish, because he thinks she's Mexican. Fred replies by saying that he has a disease where he can't recognize hot people. Velma then asks him if his disease is called rudeness, which is pretty much racial assumptions. At Brenda's funeral, when Daphne calls Brenda a rare friend, she calls Velma a piece of crap compared to her, which is true in this series. Velma and Daphne always cared about each other, but somehow, not here. She has poor chemistry with the others. Daphne and Velma were friends as children until Daphne decided to pursue popularity, which resulted in her abandoning Velma. However, in episode 2, when Daphne and Velma dealt drugs together, they rekindled their friendship. At the end of the episode, Velma has a panic attack and Daphne kisses her to calm her down. 5. In later episodes the two are shown to be good friends, though Velma implies she has unrequited feelings for her, Fred, being awful considering that in this series, they treat each other like crap, yet the two are supposed to be dating. However, it's unknown if Fred actually loves her or is using her for popularity since he cares about his self-image. The latter is likely, as he mentions that Brenda was his plan if Daphne got too clingy. In the first episode, After Daphne accuses Velma of trying to steal her boyfriend, she says that she can have him as Fred won't take his pants off despite the two dating for a year and is so insecure about himself that he makes everyone leave the bathroom at Spooner Malt when he uses it. Daphne doesn't seem to love him either as she cheated on him with Velma at the end of episode 2. And does this show has characters who act like how they were in the original Scooby-Doo franchise? No? See? There are none of the characters who act in the original Scooby-Doo franchise. Also, I am not trying to act racist. But the characters in this show are different. Wow, just fucking wow, unbelievable. The episodes in this show are cringe-worthy to watch, and none of the episodes are cool and awesome. Every time I think about this shit, I feel nothing but embarrassment and anger inside. Because of how this show is atrocious. The plot of this show is nothing but a huge disaster, and a big fucking abomination to the original Scooby-Doo franchise. How am I not surprised? And like I said, it's a huge disaster, and a big fucking abomination to the original Scooby-Doo franchise. And they fucked this up so fucking bad. Making this show so fucking disastrous. And even the reception of it is a disaster. That's stupid. For an HBO Max show. The music and the theme song in this show are complete ear bleeding. If I hear this shitty song, it would get stuck in my head. There's too many puns going through this shit. And it's more anger-worthy, and cringe-worthy as fuck. This show was one of the worst shows from 2023 that ever existed on HBO Max. Even many YouTubers, like Trollboy017, Recrap, and Sabres Park, upload their videos about the hate that Velma is getting. And they end along with Lambo Rocks Strikes Back or write about their saying about the hate that this show is getting. So basically, this show still exists for, like I said, for grab of money like Teen Titans Go. Was for grab of money for Cartoon Network. This is why Warner Brothers Discovery and HBO Max has been falling apart and has been running out of their ideas. They do nothing but filling up Max with stupid Discovery reality shows that belongs in the trash can. I prefer the original Scooby-Doo better than this goddamn fucking shit-stained diaper. And so, for my final verdict for Velma, I'm giving this show a 1 out of 10. This show is a big abomination, and a big disaster to the Scooby-Doo franchise. But you know who to blame? That's right, David Zaslav. He's the one who caused this chaos. I say he needs to be fired. And I really hope, for this show to get cancelled for fucking good. Alright. This concludes this review, Rant.
Go to bed.